Welcome back to another episode of the podcast, From the Depths of Darkness to the Light of Success. I am your host, Chris Swick, and in this podcast, we talk about mental health, addictions, ADHD, and really anything anyone's afraid to talk about, we talk about it on my show. I believe everyone's story is valuable at the end of the day. Does not matter what walk of life you've come from. You're all welcome on my platform. You can check my show out over on YouTube at From the Depths of Darkness to the Light of Success. Hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications. You can check it out over on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and hit me up over on Instagram at Depths of Darkside. Thank you again for coming back to the show today, everyone. I got an amazing guest from the Toronto area of Ontario, Canada. I got David Silverstone, a former hockey player, and he loves giving back to the community and just all about helping everyone out, man. You want to take it away and let them know a little bit about you, David, and what you're all about?
Yeah, my name's David Silverstone. I played 2 years in the Ontario Hockey League. I won the Humanitarian of the Year of the CHL. I played 5 years professional hockey. Father of two, a daughter Veda, a son Lincoln, 12 and 9. And yeah, that's a wrap.
When you talk about the humanitarian of the year, man, what did you do and what did you do to give back to the communities and stuff to deserve that award?
You know what? It was actually pretty cool because I was just grateful to make the team. And then one of the women who worked for our team, I think her name was Nancy Somerville. Would you consider helping out in the community and being like what would it be like an ambassador of the Belleville Bulls? And I was honored, and it was right up my alley because I've always been a good kid and stuff like that. And she got me started, and it just really took off. I ran breakfast clubs. I visited kids in the hospital. I read on different native reserves to the kids out there and played sports and promoted positive and just try and give them a good outlook on life.
Growing up in Toronto, especially in the area you came from, Regent Park, must have not been an easy task. What was that like in the 80s, and how did you get to where you are with your hockey back in those days?
Yeah, the biggest thing is support for sure. I'm fortunate to have a good mom and dad. And yeah, because we've seen it all, the guns, the drugs. Our house got raided when I was a kid, and they were always there for us. It was just lots of good support, good people. Our community was great for how bad it was. But yeah, my dad always had a slogan, pay for sports or pay for lawyers. And so he grinded paying for sports instead of lawyers.
Hey, that's a good family to have, man. It's good to have a backbone of the family like that. I remember my father growing up as well. He's still alive today. Same thing, 3 boys through AAA hockey and him putting grinding it out too, working 2 jobs at some points, night shift, day shift, whatever at and coaching AAA himself for 25 plus years. My mom, kudos to my mom though, who's at every corner of Ontario and in the States all over the place. Kudos to
Absolutely.
those parents that take care of us growing up and try to show us the right way sort of thing to keep us out of trouble. You find hockey kept you out of that trouble back then?
110%. We were fortunate in that sense. We played every sport, but hockey was the big seller with our family. And my brother played AAA. He made it to tier two, junior A. And then my youngest just played house league. He was too much of a snap show. He wasn't really cut out for people putting their hands on him.
Fair enough. Hey, everyone's not cut from the same cloth. He's the same blood, but
Uh,
so sometimes it's not for everyone.
he probably could have been the toughest guy in the NHL if he wanted to go that route, but he was too young and he liked swinging his stick and stuff. So
Fair enough. Hockey, you said hockey kept you out. You said you were lucky to have made the Belleville Bulls. Were you a walk-on or were you undrafted?
yeah, I was undrafted, and I've told the story a few times, but it was just a scout from the Crawford family, Mike Crawford, and he said he was interested. We didn't really buy it, but eventually he called when the time came, and yeah, he said, "All I want you to do is go out there and do what you do." And at the time, there was no fighting at all. I think leading up to that tryout, I knocked a guy out once in a junior A game in a fight, and that was my only fight. And once in AAA, I got my head kicked in pretty good. Um, but yeah, and then I went out. I did everything that they asked for, but it just wasn't maybe politics, maybe whatever. But that year, it just wasn't the year to make it. And I came back the following team a year and worked my ass off, fought everybody and anybody, and mixed in a few goals, and I made the team.
Was it the fighting that sort of got you into the OHL, you'd say? You're not a tall guy. I've seen some fights or whatever. You're probably 5'9" at best.
I'm gonna push for 5'10" because my son just came downstairs. But yeah,
I know I try and push for 5'10" too, but I'm not. My son's taller than me now. He's
Yeah.
16 and pushing over 6 feet now. So,
Yeah, it's crazy. My daughter's growing like a weed.
so what would you say would be your most memorable hockey moment or hockey fight for you? I've seen a couple good ones. Yeah, you Strat McGrattan and stuff back in the early 2000s.
Yeah, most memorable, just to say, just name drop a few guys that I thought those are memorable moments. McGrattan, Trevor Gillies, Jordan Tutu, Cam Jansen.
That's a tough boy right there, man.
Oh, like a super marathon. There's marathon fighters, then there's super marathon fight.
I've seen him scrapping the O, and I was just like, "Oh my god, man."
And he was built like a fire hydrant. He was just a big, not super tall, but a big kid.
Yeah, and another guy I think he came in after you too is David Clarkson though too. He could drop him too, man.
And what's crazy is his deal, like in the O, he didn't really do good when he fought in the O. It took him, but you need the reps anyways. And once he got to the show, he fought a lot of tough guys and did well for himself.
Exactly. And lots of those guys you just named went on to have good NHL careers and stuff like that. And kudos to Jordan Tutu. I'm clean and sober too now, man. And that guy, he's come a long ways from where he came from too, man.
And even the cool connection with him is that I was going to play in the ECHL for the Roanoke Express, and his brother Terrence was the guy that I was going to try to replace. And sad story, but he ended up taking his own life, right? And it made it easier for me to walk onto the team.
For sure. Cause he was probably doing the job you were doing,
Yeah.
his brother was and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Tying it into like concussions and stuff and mental health, did concussions play a huge part in your hockey career? And how did they affect your mental health? If so, did you get some concussions?
You know what? It's hard to, I don't think there's a guy that's had maybe more concussions than me that I personally know, but I would never be able to tell. Like I got hit into the boards from behind one game with no helmet on, out cold for 30 seconds. Boom, I snapped back. I couldn't remember what happened until I seen the video and stuff like that. And I wanted to play, and they're like, "Oh, you're going to be out for a week." And then 3 days later, the doctor comes in, he touches your head, looks at your eyes, and he's okay, you're good to go. I don't know. I know that there's a lot of drugs or painkillers and all that shit to subside things to try and get past them. But I was fortunate in that sense. Like I never took any real drugs or had the splitting headaches or was depressed when I was playing. It was like about Ali with the Parkinson's there or the shakes or whatever. When he hit the bag, it went away. So I wouldn't be able to tell you. It wasn't until I went through some fucked up shit in my life here with my family that it got me.
Yeah, and then, like, how have you dealt with those things? We don't have to go into full detail or nothing, but, like, how have you dealt with those things, going forward, with your mental health, and how have you taken care of them? Like, for yourself, though, you have to take care of yourself before you can take care of your kids or anyone else too.
Yeah. You know what, man? The truthfully is just being around my kids, working out hard, and just trying to be as positive as possible. Just because, like I said, when I was a kid, my house got raided. I've seen people shot, stabbed, beat up, and no real trauma effect from it because you had a good support system. And then you go through something like this, and like I was like 270 when I went through this. I went down to 211. I drank a bottle of wine a day, and not be a drunk, but just it would, I guess, it would hide it a little bit, but not really get rid of the shitty feeling. And then insomnia kicked in, and that's a whole. I never believed in any of this shit until I went through it, and then you're like, oh, this is real. Mental health is a big thing. But the biggest thing is you got to take care of your family, and you for whatever your niche is to help you get through it, you have to do it full steam. And is with two kids, it's a lot harder to put yourself first. And I installed in them that they come first over everybody and anybody.
And someone, that may be going through your stuff or even the younger generation. I always love asking this, but what's one good piece of advice you could give our younger generation coming out under you and I, especially from the places you've come from in Toronto? You still live in the heart of it too. But you give back to your community. I see that on your social media and stuff like that. I love the Sandlot kids pictures and stuff like that. But you give them back, but it's a diverse picture though. You got different cultures and all that whole picture there, man. Because where you come from, there's so many different cultures and diversity nowadays.
Yeah. Oh, and that's why, like, when people bring up the racism or this or that, I don't really I'm just me. I'm not putting any of those categories. I won the humanitarian of the CHL. And if you're a good person, you're a good person. If you're a garbage can, you're a garbage can. And that's just the way it is. I try to teach my kids we do these things because we want to, not that we have to, not for social media. That's just us. We're good people.
And I love that you say that, man. Not doing it for social media, not doing it as they like to say these days, these younger kids. I was like, my son is like, "What did you just say? The clout." I was like, "What does that even mean?" But anyway, I learn new things all the time from the young kids, man. But you're not doing it for that though. I don't go out. I've thought of it, and then my wife Megan, but she's no, Chris, we're not gonna videotape that. There's no need to. Just do it because you want to do it to be a good person. She had to put me in. She calls me on my bullshit or puts me in my place, and we need those types of people in our lives that put us in our place.
Y-
Because the road I came from was a different story. But when I got on the straight and narrow, and still learning about myself today, and that's the whole thing. Just do it because you want to do it. Don't do it to get anything in return, man. That's not what life's about.
And the truth is, what you get in return, it's just, hey, David, hey, Beta, hey, Lincoln. That's or the smiles on their faces. Sure, I take a lot of pictures because I always loved my mom and dad had the old school scrapbooks and all the
I
pictures.
love those too, man.
But now I got 22,000 photos and I don't know where I would ever store them. So it's good that they're on the phone. But the truth is there's a lot of rotten people out there that are jealous and like when you do post things like I like say I'm gonna be on your podcast, I'll post and thank you for having me and tag you. Or if I'm at your house or you come by in your car or you want to take us to a ball game or I'm always thankful for that. But as you get older, you learn that a lot of people I have nothing, but I have everything. And a lot of people are really jealous of that. And it took me to go through this to realize that. And it really breaks my heart.
It's 100% true, man. You don't need everything. Material things will always be there. Time with your family it could be cut short to tomorrow, man. Today is what you should be grateful for at the end of the day, man. Because time is priceless at the end of the day, man. So spend it with the ones you love, the ones
Yes.
that care about you and
Yes.
stuff like that. And don't worry, cut out that toxic energy and those toxic people because they're the ones that are going to always just bring you down, man. If you cut that stuff out, and surround yourself with good-hearted people, people with good intentions. And it's easy to sniff that stuff out these days too with the people that don't have good intentions for you either.
But again, because your heart's so big and you open that door so wide that you get fucking bamboozled. And hence my hat. It says, if you can see it.
Fuck snake friends.
Yeah.
It's so true, man. Where can we get that hat?
And
Or did you make that?
you know what's funny is, I seen a good buddy and, I hadn't seen him in a while, and I told him, I said, "I got 50 bucks in my pocket. I'll give you it." And he took it right off his head and, gave it to me. So it's it's a pretty special hat, and I believe it holds a lot of meaning, aside from the swearing and all that, but you can't have fake people around you. Just too much trouble comes with it. Keep your circle tight and, yeah, like, my hands are empty, but my hands are full, you know what I mean? I have my daughter in one and my son in my other hand, so
That's all you need, man. At the end
yeah.
of the day, if those are the two people that are around you all the time, man, that's all you need at the end of the day. But I'm grateful for the support I have today. Going back 4 years ago, I had acquaintances. That's what they were at the end of the day. Where, when I quit drinking, when I quit doing drugs, those people weren't running to see how Chris was or anything like that. And like you just said, keep your circle tight. My circle is pretty darn small and I like it that way.
Yep.
It's just the way I like it. It's perfect. I don't need all the drama and all those types of things in my life anymore.
No, it's just too much, man. And like I said, the mental health, go through these things and it really fucks you up. Like you'll never be the same person, but you can just try to be better every day.
What types of things, what were some of the thoughts going through your head at this time and stuff like that, if you don't mind me asking?
Not to get too crazy, but never to hurt myself, but just
Did you have those suicidal ideations or those types of things? What would it be like if I hit that tree with my car sort of thing? Because I've gone through those things too.
what not to that extent, but
You
sometimes
know,
put your head through a door or punch in the walls or concrete walls, just to try to get rid of it. But you're like, how do I get rid of it? And but I'm thankful I never had those thoughts to hurt myself like for good, you
for
know?
sure, man. And that's cool because at the end of the day, When I don't, it's not that I don't like saying that, but it is selfish because you got to think of the other people that you're leaving behind, your kids, your family, your parents, brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles. At the end of the day, there's more to life than just thinking about that too. There's a brighter side at the end of the day, man. The grass is always greener on the other side, I like to say.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. But I'm starting to feel better and just trying to get better day by day. It's not easy. You get one good day, one shit day, one good week, a couple bad days. But the depression is fucking it's real. There's no doubt. For a while it was like, oh, I'll just sit on the couch and I'll have a nap, and then I'll sit on the couch and I'll have a nap. And then you're like, fuck, I'm not doing what I used to do with my kids. I'm not doing what I used to do for myself. So it's real. Now, some people take medication, and if it helps them, kudos to them because it's not easy. The mind is fucking deadly. But I was on, I can't remember the name of it, but it just, I think they fucked me up even more. Like I didn't feel like I was me. So then my dad found out I was on them, and he wanted to kick the shit out of me if I didn't stop taking them. So I
Your dad's
old school for sure. And I like I said, I was never that wasn't me before this stuff. I was always happy, positive, all this shit, and then you go through it, and then you become a different person. And sometimes you want to do something, or you think these thoughts of what you'd like to do to someone if they fucked over your family and that. But one of my good friends said to me, it takes a bigger man not to explode.
It's so true, man. I always have those thoughts too sometimes, and I like to use for my therapist. I always use the whiteboard in your head, and I do got to start using that more because just write it down on your imaginary whiteboard. If it's not a good thing, maybe we'll just erase that and move on to the next thought, sort of thing. Because it's, but at the end of the day, again, you're just hurting the people that love you the most if you do a stupid thing or whatever you
Yeah.
want to call it.
Even just like avoiding people, for the longest time, I would like people were calling and I'm like, I don't want to talk. I don't want to see you. I don't want to. Yeah, it's just fucked up.
Yeah, man. I'm sorry you've had to go through these things, and I can feel that pain just sitting here talking. And I can't put myself in your shoes for whatever situation it was, but I do empathize with you, man, because we all go through things in life, but it's all about how we
No,
rebound from it. And it makes you a better person, whatever the failure is or whatever it may be. Failure is good at the end of the day, I find,
I
because
failed. I failed a lot. My son and my daughter they got like B's and C's and maybe a couple A's, and I said that's the best report card I've ever seen. They're better than all daddies.
yeah, and that's what I say to my son. My son comes home and he was mad he got an 83. That was the lowest score, was like an 83 on his in high school in grade 10. I said, "Man, you're lucky if I made it to class." I
Yeah,
guess.
me and my dad would high five if I got a 55, 60.
But and I was like, "I'm proud of you, man." Like 15 years old, he's got 2 jobs for the summer. Then I was just worried about partying and drinking at 15 years old. I didn't care about a job.
Yep. That
Eh,
will keep him on that path because the world out there is insane, bro. I was in
it is insane for sure.
I
So go
was
ahead.
in a celebrity golf tournament, and they're the guys from Pay It Forward Sports, Jeff and Brennan, and they brought us down now 2 years in a row, and they treat us like royalty. I think there was 25 NHL guys there and maybe 4 or 5 OHL legendary animals. And yeah, they treat us just like we were one of the pros. It's a great time, and it's just giving back. That's what those guys do. And the funny story of those guys is I used to sign autographs for those guys.
That's
And and
amazing, man. Now they're
and
giving back to you.
and that's it, right? They're doing that plus that for me and my family. So it's really good. You gotta always but you gotta do it because you want to do it. My son yesterday, I had a 2-day break. I dropped him off at the cottage, him and my daughter. And I believe it's because we went through this shit. He called me Monday night and he said, Dad, do you want to pick me up? And I'm like, the answer is always yes, buddy. And he was like, no, not that you have to pick me up. Do you want to? And I'm like, this guy's 9 and he's hitting me with some heavy shit. And I said, yes, I want to pick you up. I want you to know I always am going to be there. And it's not, I have to be there. I want to be there as well.
For sure, and I'm grateful to have well, that's awesome that your son you've instilled that in your son, and you can see that clearly if he's asking you that at 9 years old, man, he's a very smart kid,
Ye-
and that's the types of things that we need to instill in our kids and these younger generations because like you said earlier, there's so much BS with the guns. They're just getting younger and younger, I find these days. And if we don't instill them on the right path, when there's so many good people like yourself in the community you grew up in, you're giving back to them too. And those are the types, and then you see these kids flourish after, whether they get a scholarship for basketball, hockey, baseball, whatever the case may be. But at least you're giving back, man. You're like, you know what? I did that out of the goodness of my own heart. I'm not asking for anything in return. I'm not asking for any recognition. I'm sure those kids will remember those things for years to come.
Yep. Oh, for sure, absolutely. Like you were back on the gun topic. It's because there's no real role models. Like when we were kids, it's all backwards. But I tell people I could get a gun quicker than I can get a pizza. That's how fucked up our city is, that it's like that. And you have to install the right path and the right morals. And yeah, because it's a slippery slope, man.
And what are some of the values and morals you've instilled in your kids today to get them to where they are?
We have our own little thing in our house. We can joke and talk the way we want to. It's in our house. But as soon as we step outside, respect, manners, caring, loving, just and I always say be nice until it's time not to be nice. Like you at the end of the day, you have to be able to take care of yourself too.
And that's true, man. When whether you instill that in a positive way, I don't know if you have your kids boxing or doing some sort of form of martial arts or even just working out and stuff like that. That's instills good discipline in those
Yeah.
types of things. And I'm glad my son's gotten into that as well. Just I said, you don't go out and just use your fists because you want to either. That doesn't give you the right to just go and knock someone out for the fun of it, sort of thing. You know what I mean?
Yep. No, and that's where the cool thing is that you brought that up because being able to fight in hockey and being pretty good at it and knowing that when the guy's down, that's it. You learn that self-control where you're like, I know I can do it. I'm okay. I don't have to go around beating people up. So that's where the sports, you learn team play, respect, all that stuff. Boxing's another one we do from time to time. We do all kinds of stuff. And those are important because then as long as you know that you can take care of yourself, you have to have that confidence. I had a guy go through my pockets when I was 10. And man, it was like I froze. There was two of them or three of them or whatever it was. They went through my pockets, took a couple bucks, and I never defended myself. And then, but sometimes you need a fight, or sometimes you need like a big win or something. Because it wasn't until I was about 12 or 13 I had my first real street fight, and it was my own buddy. And my mom just said, if you don't fight him right now, don't come home tonight, because she knew that he was owning me, he was taking advantage of me. And then boom, we got into the fight and that shit stopped overnight. Don't let anybody try to take advantage of me or my kids, you know, and that's what my mom installed in me. She's like, you have to stand up for yourself. I don't promote fighting. I don't promote hurting people, but there comes a time when you have to stand up for yourself.
And I do wholeheartedly agree with that. You know what I mean? I remember I won't name the guy's name, but he knows me and stuff. But I remember his dad, he owned a martial arts studio. His dad was black belt in Shaolin Kung Fu. Like they went to China in high school or were monks for months and got
Yep.
their black belt in Shaolin Kung Fu, but owned a martial arts studio. Now he owns the martial arts studio and stuff like that. But I remember his dad coming. He's like, you're not gonna back down if this guy's gonna pick on you at high school. And his dad would come watch his and
Yeah.
I even said to the guy, I said, "I don't know if this is a good idea." If you the one guy's like, "No, I'm gonna take him," and I, you know, but the guy was scry, but he knew what he needed to do. But his dad's, like, "You're not backing down, man. Someone's gonna pick on you." You know?
Because that's the shitty thing. If you roll once, it sticks with you for a long time, and it stuck with me for 4 or 5 years. And then it was my mom that said, "No, stops today."
No,
And
and it's so true. Like you can't let people walk all over you like a doormat because if you let it happen over and over again, I was a people pleaser for so long, and it still creeps up on me today once in a while. And I got to watch it because you just want to do everything for everyone. But at the end of the day, it's okay to say no. It's okay to have those boundaries.
yeah, that's my dad always says that the first rule in the book of the first word in the book of wisdom is learn how to say no. Because that, like, more and more when I read a little bit about things, like, I want everyone to feel comfortable. I want everyone to feel at home. I want to help you move this or do that. But like you said, sometimes you have to say no.
And for so long, I was found just saying yes to everything. And And all of a sudden, like, my wife says, like, "You have to just take time for you." Like, she's like, "I wanted to play in a league again, hockey league again, 40 plus league this year." And she's like, "But Sundays are usually the only day we have together." She's like, "Come on." I was like, so she's, "You can do it. I support it, but can you please think about it before?" And I probably won't. And I agree with her. You know what I mean? Because between working at the dealership, her job's very busy as well and stuff like that. So she's right. One night a week playing pickup's good enough.
Yeah, oh, for sure. And like we say with family, it's time, it's not, and that's pretty cool that she wants that instead of just saying, "Yeah, go get the fuck out of here." To
Yeah, no, and you can't get that time back either, like we're talking
not
about. That time is sacred. So make sure you spend that time with the ones again that love you, everyone, that support you. If it wasn't for my wife personally, I wouldn't be where I am today. She's the one that's kicked me in that. She's a, tough love. And I needed that. Else I wouldn't be where I am. I wouldn't be in the career I'm
it,
in. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing.
it's like I say, some people need to be stroked and others need the whip. I need the whip. Like when we work out, I like to work out my brothers or my cousins. They're gonna break my balls. They're gonna push. Where other guys, you got to be like, "Come on, let's do it. You can do it." My daughter's like a firecracker, but sometimes I think she needs to be stroked and my son needs to be whipped.
Most definitely for sure. And I like with the working out thing too. Working out is very important. It's good for the mental health.
Yes.
It just gets me out of my own head.
Yep.
And I
And
heard a
even
guy, I was listening to a podcast recently, and I love this one. Just it's called the one more. If it says do 12 reps, the other night I was doing a workout, the supersets, and then I was doing 10 more than I was supposed to, but I just pushing that one more, and seeing how far you can push it, man, because that's how you build that resilience and everything
and
in you.
that's where the good feeling kicks in. Just yesterday, me and my middle brother just did 260 squats. And I said, and he was like, "You want to push it to 300?" I was like, "Absolutely, let's go for it." And we did a superset of 60 squats to hit 300. And even if it was a bad day, I can't bring back the bad day because you feel so good and you're physically drained that I believe that even in the school systems, we should be promoting working out, and gym class shouldn't be patty and duck goose. It should be intense for an hour. You know what I mean? And the kids will see the results and feel good and not want to, just drag their asses around.
Another thing they should be bringing in more and more into the school system, because they don't talk about it enough. The mental health is huge too, man. Like they don't teach it. Let's sugarcoat everything. And I'm grateful that I've been able to go into some schools this year and actually share the real raw truth from myself, what it was like and what it's like. When it hit some nerves on some young kids. I remember speaking to this grade 8 class in particular, the whole school of grade 7s and 8s this year. My buddy brought me in and I had kids come up and I got some real, it's a diverse crowd here. You basically got like Beverly Hills on one side of the street and
Yep.
the ghetto on the other side, literally in this neighborhood up in Waterloo. And you see it. It's a mix of everything in there. But I had a couple kids come up that were from the wrong side of the tracks
Yep.
per se. And they're grateful to hear that story. And he opened up some of them to tell them what's going on at their house. And because you can't sugarcoat it for these kids these days, man. If you don't tell them the way it was or tell them your true story, your authentic story, they're never gonna learn, man. They don't learn by saying, "It's okay, Jenny just needs a pat on the back or nothing." No, man, this is what happens if you do X, Y, and Z.
And that's the God's honest truth. When they were younger, I put them in a soccer league, or me and their mom put them in a soccer league. And I showed up a little bit late from work and I'm like, "What's the score?" To the coach. "We don't keep score." And I'm like, "We're out." And people are
That's what
like,
they do these days, though.
and
It's like
people
up to a certain age, they don't keep score no more. It's just for fun, and
And people were like, "Yeah, it's fun." I said, "You're not helping them. I don't want this guy." Because once you turn now, if you play double A or triple A, you get cut. It don't matter if your feelings or your hair's green. You're not getting on because of that. You're not going to get a job because you just because of how you feel or who you are. You have to once you get older, it's make it or break it. And if you don't teach them now, they get there and they're like, "Dad, you were lying to me this whole time." Like, I thought just because I want to do this, I can do it. No, it don't work like that, man. You got to earn it. I was cut from every AAA team. I was cut from every junior A team until I had to break out of that that mold. I had to start changing my ways because no one's just going to give you a free ride.
not at all. You have to work for it, man. I remember going into grade 9 hockey. I didn't want to play all AAA, any of that no more. I was just sick of the politics. I was like, I'm just gonna enjoy high school, probably some of the best 5 years of my life because it almost reminded me of just playing junior and stuff. Because you got guys that are 15 and 21 playing high school hockey. It was great. And I went on there and everyone's, "You're never gonna make it." No one's ever made out of grade 9. It says,
There.
"You betcha I'm gonna," and I just worked my ass off. I was not the biggest guy, I was not the tallest guy, but I would go crash and bang with the older guy. I didn't care, man. I would knock them on their ass too, and sometimes I was getting a little hot-headed. I remember at a tournament in Halifax once, and the one guy's, "Chris, what are you doing?" I says, "I'm going in there," and that guy, he did something to our player. I was the youngest guy, and he was the oldest guy on the team. I didn't care though, man. Like,
Yep.
I got kicked out, but that was, I just had to, you have to stick up for your teammates and you gotta stick up for them, and
Absolutely. I know that firsthand, bro. And you know what? It's a good feeling coming to the rescue. And then it builds you up. Just little things that builds you up. Even if you get your ass kicked. Fuck, this guy went right in there.
yeah, and I had no shame. I had no care in the world. I remember one time my shoulders messed from it now. You probably know the adrenaline feeling. I didn't feel that pain till the next day or later on that night, and I ended up going to get in a scrap. Probably wasn't the best thing to do at the time, but at the time I thought it was but just that adrenaline rush, after that guy hit me and popped my shoulder.
Yeah. Oh yeah, adrenaline's wild, man. And that's when I knew I was done with the hockey because my last year I couldn't stand the coach and just it was just new guys that didn't even have a name, didn't even come up with a name. You want to go, you want to go, you want to go, and I was just like, fuck, I'm over this shit. This is stupid.
When you don't like it anymore, it's time to move on. I left stuff behind, even if it's like going to get a new job or whatever. If you're not happy at your job that you're making 150 grand a year, and you take a pay cut to go to a job with 80, but you're tenfold happier, man. That's the place you need to be.
Yeah.
It's not all about the money, like we're done with. It's not all about the material things. Yes, it's nice. You need money to live in this world, obviously. To put a roof over your head, food on the table and stuff. But at the end of the day, it's about your happiness. It's about what's inside you that makes you happy.
Yeah, as happy as you can be. Because the truth is life's hard. It's hard.
Life sucks, everyone.
Yeah, it does sometimes. So that's why you just try and you make the most of it.
And it's not all gonna be horseshoes and rainbows and all those types of things, man. It's a grind out there, everyone. Life is real. Life isn't just handed to you on a gold platter. And I thought it was for many years. I thought everyone had to just bow down to Chris. That's not the way it works though, man. You gotta work for what you get. You gotta work. Doesn't come like that overnight either, man. I had to work my ass off to get to where I am.
And I
Even
can't
with my recovery, same thing. I had to work my ass off to get to where I am. I didn't just put down the booze and the drugs and just be like, "Oh, it's all gonna be horseshoes
yeah.
and rainbows," like I said, man. No, you gotta put the work in to stay clean and sober though too, man.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. And that all comes into you need like a good support team and stuff like that. And that's why no matter what, like my hockey career, okay, I wasn't as skilled, I wasn't the toughest, but I'd fight anybody. But when it came to the games and practices, if there was a hardest worker award every night, or it was me, like it was me. And I got that from my dad and my mom, and my dad was a furniture guy and did some other things, but I watched that guy work his fucking ass off. Like he used to load up the 5-ton with couches, throw me right in the back, bomb me to the rink, drop me off. I'd play, he'd make the deliveries, come back, pick me up. That I caught on to that at 12 or 13, and my son just asked me, "Dad, can you talk to me how your dad talked to you when you were a kid?" I said, "1, you're not ready for that. And 2, I don't think I have that in me to talk to you like the way my dad did
It's a different generation. The young man has to understand. And I remember growing up too. I don't know if I could talk to my dad. You know what I mean? He's awesome guy. Going through things himself now at his age, but awesome guy. But I don't think I could. Hey man, I swore at my mom. I remember getting a bar of Dove soap shoved down my throat, man, and my
Beautiful.
gums bleeding. Those are the type. I remember when I told my teacher in grade 2 or 3 to fuck off or whatever, and my dad personally came, picked me up from the school, took me home, and he had about a half inch or 3/4 inch piece of leather, man, bare ass, and then he took me back to school and dropped me off, man. Like my no shame, my dad, man. But and the thing,
But you need those things. Like I wanna be
today we
clear.
wouldn't get away with that. If your son went to school, man, we'd have children's services
Oh,
at our house.
give me 2 in 5 years, my man.
Yeah,
Even my mom, when my dad went away for a couple of years, we were eating at the food banks and volunteering time at the church, this, that, and the other thing. And I can't remember, but somebody gave my mom $50 US, a bill, and she used to hide the change in the teapot. We'd grab a couple shekels and bang it out at the store. And I pulled this 50 out, and she needed it, bills, whatever it was, groceries, all that shit. And she asked me if I took it, and I said no, and it was like on my forehead. I said, yes, I took it. And she slapped me so hard that from time to time I still feel it, but I never stole again in my life.
And
I'm not mad at her for that smack in the mouth. I earned it.
I'm shameful for the things I did to my own family, but that wasn't the real Chris. That was the addict in me, stealing from my own family, those types of things. But I'm grateful that they've given me the support to get to where I am today. When they tell me how proud I am, that's what you got to do to your kids. If they do something good, tell them how proud you are. You know what I mean? If they do something bad, today it's a different society. We can't cuff them upside the head or give them a little
Yeah.
shot to knock some sense of reality into them. But you can instill discipline and tell them you gotta be respectful, you know what I mean? Like, even my son, we've say thank you, or if you're gonna be late, or if you're gonna be this and that, you're not there at the time you said you're gonna be there, at least just send a quick text message. They all have phones these days, man,
Yeah.
and just say, "Hey, I'm running behind." But if someone calls and asks how far you are, just say, "Oh, I'm sorry," you know what I mean? I've apologies go a long ways,
Yep.
especially, not just, "Oh."
Yeah. No, for sure. And I fully understand that. I always say, if you say you're going to be there, man, you better be there. And if something pops up, you better get back to them right away, because all you have really, man, is your word and your morals and what kind of man you are, or woman, or child. And I tell my kids manners and respect goes a long way. Like I say, I have nothing, but I have everything. And I have a lot of good people that show me, that are high up in the world and down low in the world, that show me a lot of love and respect, because I am who I am.
And that's what it's all about, man, you know what I mean? People see that word travels quickly in this world. And I tell people that at work too, man. Salespeople, I'm in sales, man. The good customer is always gonna be the good customer. They're not the ones that are gonna make you more money. It's their friends. They'll go tell your friends that experience. But if you give someone a shitty experience and you're not transparent, don't try and be a scumbag, those types of things, man. That word travels quick, man. That times that by 10, that's 200 people you've lost as a customer or client, man. At the end of the day, I tell these young kids coming in, just play the game fair, man. Be transparent as you can be, man. Treat
Yep.
people the way you want to be treated.
And that, bro, you can drive down Frederick Street any day of the week, Monday to Friday, till 10 o'clock at night. There could be 15, 20 kids in front of our house playing basketball, ball hockey. We just everything. And I said to my kids, they're not here to see daddy. They're here to see you guys, because you guys are good kids. They want to be around good kids. I said, and that you guys did that on your own.
And I
So
tell
just,
my son that though too, man. I said, he's seen a lot of stuff with my life, man. And he tells me, "Hey, dad, I'm proud of you today. I'm proud the things we get to do together. Not that we didn't experience those things when we were younger, but I physically was there. Mentally, I wasn't at all there,
yeah,
man. Mentally, I was off in my own world doing my thing when they go to bed. But today I can lay my head down proud and wake up in the morning, get them up, and I'm a man to my word. We're going to the Jays game. I'll make sure we get those tickets to the Jays game. We're going to go to the CNE. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. Let's do it. We're going to do that. And he doesn't have to worry about that no more, those types of things, man, and that's the beauty of just being a parent, man. You get to let your kids experience that, and I always tell them, "Don't go." I'll just be like, "You know what? If you wanna experience that, test that, but I'm telling you, it's not the right way to go. Stay away from those shitty people, man."
yeah, because, and again, some people say, "Oh, you expose your kids to too much bad stuff," but I said, "No, this is reality." And I'm glad that you're doing great and in your situation, stuff like that. And it's really hard to break that cycle. I take my kids to Queen and Sherburne. I say, "This is the last stop. You fuck around with this stuff, and you don't have a good support system, and you don't want to get help. This is where you die. This is where the puck stops." Queen and Sherburne. That's it. It's a zombie apocalypse,
I
and it's
know
horrible.
exactly what you're talking about, man. It's a wild world. I could go on for days about that epidemic, man. It's crazy. It's sad to see. I've seen friends that are played pro hockey. I'm glad some of them have made it out to their side, but lots of them haven't, man. Lots of them either committed suicide, died of overdoses, those types of things, man. There's lots of guys in the hockey world, man. Especially like not any lots of sports, not just hockey, but I'm a hockey guy.
Yeah.
Like you take the Wade Belaks, those types of guys, man, and there's many other guys out there. I'm glad some of them have made it out, but man, back in the day, I've heard stories, man, like they were just handing like the painkillers out like candy back in the
Oh,
day, man.
not to bury them, but it was wild, man.
It is. I'm not burying them. It's the cold hard truth,
Yeah.
though, man. It's different today. You take the Mike Richards, man. That guy was an amazing hockey player, but getting caught up with the wrong crowd, the partying and those types of things, man. Then getting caught at the border with all the the stuff too. But when that ruins someone's career, man, I'm glad he's on the other path now. But
And I know a couple people that are close to me that went through it and made it out and made a big difference. But it's not easy. It's, I guess that slogan or the quote is one day at a time, because
it's true.
I have
One day at a
guys.
time for anything, man. Doesn't matter if you're in recovery or anything, man. It's one day at a time for anything, man. You can't worry about yesterday because yesterday's gone. You can't worry about tomorrow. I say it over and over again, but you can't worry about tomorrow because it's not here yet. Just stay in the present moment, man.
Yeah, it's true because it's too easy to give up. It's
It
too easy to pack it in.
it's very easy to pack it in. It's a very slippery slope once you get on it, man. You don't even know what you're getting today, everyone out there. I'm glad I stopped when I did. I'm grateful I did. You know what I mean? I'm grateful that I had the rock bottom that I did, man. Because if I didn't have that, I personally don't think I'd be alive today.
Yeah.
I thought I'd
I
be
bel
doing a 6x9 cell like that. That was the route, the direction I was headed with the life I was living for 4 or 5 years ago,
Yeah,
for
no,
sure. So
absolutely. It's not correct, but my kids will be like, "Dad, that guy, he's a crackhead." And I'm like, "Yeah, I went to elementary school with him. And we see him diving in the dumpsters." And I say, "That's why I tell you guys, if you're going through something or something, somebody's bothering you or doing something, you have to say something right away, because he was a great kid, and then all of a sudden, boom."
and I teach my son or my daughter that those people are humans. I see people posting on social media or those types of things are making like crude comments. I want to say all the things in the world, but that's not my place to say
Yeah.
something. It's me. Then that's just me being a keyboard warrior at the end of
And
the
if
day.
you say something, then you're a part of it. You know what I mean? And then it's,
Exactly. But they are human, just like you and
yeah,
I, man. At the end of the day,
yeah,
do I stay away from those types of people today? Yes. Will I say hi to someone that I know that may be in that situation? Yes.
yeah,
Will I stop and all it takes like those random acts of kindness. If you
yeah,
see one of those guys on the street, I have no problem saying hi because sometimes you might get a story out of them or you might make their day that they haven't had a
yeah.
great day in many months or many years or anything like that. I can relate with lots of those people because I've almost been there, been
Yep.
with those people too.
No, I totally agree. And that's it, right? Sometimes you can't always give money, but if you want to give a sandwich or something or a hello or a pound or something, those are that, and you do it because you want to, not because, hey, I'm going to record this, do this. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Be the change. I love taking it back to my buddy John Maxim's song, man. It's called Be the Change, but it was about a homeless guy that was wanted to make amends. He traveled from out west, and every day after work, he would see him on his getting off the highway. And sometimes he never had money, but he had a bottle of water, a granola bar from his lunch or whatever. And he heard this guy's story. He traveled from out west, whether Alberta or Vancouver, to make right with his daughter that lived in Ontario, and he wasn't leaving till he did that, man. So it's just about being the change
Yeah.
for the younger generation or for anyone. Just you don't need to teach them that guy's not a good guy or those types of things. Like you said, "Oh, your son's not wrong. I was a crackhead once too, man." And
And again, that's the street, right? That's the street
exactly
slang. It's not,
the things that kids pick up on, it's out there in the world. YouTube, Instagram, all those social medias can be an evil world if you don't use it properly.
yeah, no, oh, for sure. For sure.
I remember my daughter, I'll never forget this when we're sitting at the dinner table a couple of years ago at my parents' house, and she said, "Grandma, snitches get stitches." I looked at her. I was like, "What did you just say?" And my mom had an older lady. "What are you talking about?" Like she's oblivious, no clue,
Yeah.
ignorant to the fact. And "So what does that mean?" She's like, "You tell on your friend, you get stitches." And I said, "Where did you learn things like that? They learn these days, though." Like,
It's pretty wild how they pick it up. It's
exactly,
pretty
man.
wild.
They're sponges. Kids are
Yeah.
sponges.
Yeah.
But no,
So
I really appreciate you taking the time today, David, to come on the show and just have a great chat, man. And hopefully our chat can inspire just one person. That's all I care about,
that's
man.
it, man.
One person is all I care.
Even one quick story is I went to this family. Their son was, I think he was like 7 or 8, riddled with cancer. They brought him to a hockey game and they were pushing him to meet me and just have a quick chat with him. And when it broke my heart, I see this little guy, frail, no hair, no eyebrows, just completely fucked. But I could see inside like he had a spirit. So then he went into a bad case. They called me and said, this could potentially be the end. Can you come and see him? And I brought him a whole bunch of paraphernalia, bold stuff. And he said to me, I don't really like hockey. I just really like you. And it was pretty dope, man. It was pretty dope.
That's amazing, man. It's hey, kids are they're honest as can they come. I don't like hockey. I
Yeah.
don't care about the crap you're giving me. I just
Yeah.
like yeah.
Yeah, like I bought
That's
him everything, sticks, t-shirts, pucks, the jersey, you name it, the works. And even in his state, he was still so honest and pure. I don't really like hockey, but I really like you. And really and truly, that was one of my biggest memorable things of that helped me take off and keep doing what I was doing, you know?
that's amazing, man. Just brought a little tear to my eye, but that's amazing to hear these stories because that's what life's all about, people. You know what I mean? Helping others, be the change in the world and, don't be a piece of shit because it comes around to bite you in the ass at the end of the day.
And that's the biggest thing is don't be a fucking piece of shit. Stay away from people's families if you have bad intentions, or be a man, stand up and say what's on your mind. Otherwise, you hurt a lot of people in the process. And when there's kids involved, I think that's where a lot of my anger comes because I would never be a part of fucking somebody's family over, especially with kids involved.
Yeah,
So
man.
just got to, but the biggest thing is you have to stay positive. You can't talk about it because that negative shit, it just fucking fires and fires.
If you gotta let things go at the end of the day, man.
Yes. Yes.
Because if you can't let those go, it's gonna eat away. Yes,
Yep.
it's still gonna be in the back of your mind, and that's okay. It's never gonna go away completely, but you gotta learn to move forward with it because if you don't, man, the kids will see that at the end of the day.
And like I said, they've seen enough and been through enough that I'm on the path of just trying to be better every day. And because it's so important for them. They got a full taste of reality at a young age, what I'm pissed about, but it's just what we do. Nobody's perfect. Everybody makes mistakes and just move forward. But I've talked to a lot of people and they say you just got to stop talking about it and stop and just move on and be good. And it's about the kids and yourself, of course. And yeah, that's it, man.
All right, but Dave, man, I truly appreciate you coming on the show, man. And if anyone wants to find you and follow along in your journey, where can they find you on social media? Usually you're most active on Instagram.
176 underscore tilts.
I do believe that has to do with the scraps, eh?
Yes, sir. It was from dropyourgloves.com. At one point, it was 176, but they were missing a bunch of them. I think it's probably like 187, 189 on paper.
There you go, man. Again, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I truly appreciate that a lot, man.
Thank you, and thank you for having me, and congratulations with all your success too, and then keep it going, my man.
Thank you.